Hi guys, Chris of the Polish Geek, and welcome to the review of the Netflix Devil May Cry, because I was really looking forward to it so much. I was so much hoping it was gonna be really great, because I'm a huge fan of the Devil May Cry video games. My favorite being either the original, the very first one, Devil May Cry, or Devil May Cry 4, really underrated one. But I also really love Devil May Cry 3 and Devil May Cry 5. I'm generally a huge fan of the Devil May Cry video games, so I was really looking forward to it, although I was kind of worried about some things, because we know that's Netflix after all, and they're very much either hit or miss with some of their shows that you're generally excited for. They are very much hit or miss, but which one does Devil May Cry fall into the category? Well, I say for the most part the show was really great and pretty much gave me what I very much wanted from it, for the most part. But first I'll say about the positives, and first and foremost, I thought Dante here was just awesome and badass like he should be. I mean, he quite wasn't the unstoppable force of nature he sometimes feels in the video games, but then again, it's kind of understandable because, I mean, a show operates under different rules in storytelling than video games. The video games just slashes Dante demons and all that, and it's just supposed to be just fun, but in a show, a character has to be kind of more vulnerable, relatable, so I can understand why they did make him kind of more vulnerable here in the show than he is in the video games. But here also, speaking of Dante, I will also say one of the major things I think this show has done a lot better than the previous Devil May Cry anime. Although one of the biggest differences between this Devil May Cry and the original Devil May Cry anime is I believe the original Devil May Cry anime took actually place in the same continuity as the games. It was set somewhere in between the video games. Not sure exactly when, but I do believe the original anime was set in the same continuity as the games, while this is kind of like Castlevania in a way that it's entirely new, rebooted continuity, which I think is a good choice. Basically gives writers more freedom for the story. So yes, and that's actually what I loved more in this show than I loved in the previous show, also that the fighting of Dante, because in the video games, Dante has his sword that he slashes, but he also has those guns, but it feels like the original anime kind of just overused the guns, but almost never actually had Dante use his sword, even though I personally feel that the sword is actually a much cooler weapon, and when I play Devil May Cry video games, I generally use the sword, and I'm glad that this anime basically very much made a perfect balance. It still had Dante use his guns a lot of the time, but he did also use his sword for slashing a lot, so that really was great, I think. But the animation is also pretty good, and the big difference I also noticed between the video games and this show is that this show very much clearly takes place on Earth. An Earth that's clearly invaded by demons, but because the Devil May Cry video games, I always felt they never took place actually on Earth, but in a entirely fictional fantasy world. It just resembles modern Earth, but with of course the demons running around and Dante slaughtering them. But this show similarly decided to just move the action to Earth and then just throw in demons. And speaking of which, when they were saying how Adi Shankar, actually the creator of the show, was saying that that apparently it's gonna be like a monster multiverse after Castlevania, and I can see what he was saying, because it's revealed that the demons are coming from like an alternate dimension here, so we can presume that maybe there is a multiverse in this universe, and Devil May Cry and Castlevania take place in the same multiverse, and the demon and the corridor from Castlevania Season 3 could be the same alternate dimension that the demons are using to come here in Devil May Cry. So, but I'm hoping that that's as far as they go with the connections. Like, there is no need for a crossover. Let both shows be their own thing. And among other things I'm really excited about is that although now we're getting into a gigantic spoiler territory, so stay alert, gigantic spoiler. Yes, the show ended on a cliffhanger, a gigantic cliffhanger. So yes, I'm very much counting on Season 2 now, because the show ended on a gigantic cliffhanger, and what we've seen from the trailer, that, I mean, the clip on Netflix has been released after that anyway, but the scene where Dante meets Virgil, actually, that's not real Virgil, that's revealed to be a shape-shifting demon all along, so that was really Virgil. I admit, as I was watching, I was worrying, oh no, is Virgil not appearing here? But, huge spoiler alert, the very last scene in the last episode reveals that Virgil very much will be in the show all along, and because in the last scene real Virgil appeared and he's revealed to be serving a king of the demons, Mundus, which is kind of consistent how it was in the first game, although in the first game he was actually changed his name to Nilo Angelo, but apparently not here, but it's okay, like since we know it's Virgil at this point anyway. But yes, it's revealed that Virgil will very much be in the show all along, and he will presumably play a much bigger role in season 2, if it does ever happen, which I'm so looking forward to, because Virgil is one of my favorite characters in the games, and his dynamic and rivalry with Dante is actually one of my very favorite parts of the video game, so I'm completely counting on that. But I'm also really glad that Mundus will seemingly be the main villain of the whole series, because Mundus is probably the scariest and the best, but also the scariest and most powerful villain in the whole Devil May Cry franchise. So yes, I'm really glad they're clearly very much setting him up, but I hope it's not gonna be one of those that they just like defeat Mundus and then what next? No. I hope that this time they'll just keep Mundus as an ultimate main villain of the series, and if they plan more than 2 seasons, then I'm hoping Mundus is not gonna be defeated at the end of season 2, because really, he's the most powerful and most awesome Devil May Cry villain, so I'm hoping that he's gonna be an ultimate villain of this show. But either way, I'm really glad that we are gonna see Mundus, because Mundus is just awesome. So, yeah, but also now we're coming to some of my gripes I had with the show, and some of the problems I had though was, as much as I love Dante, and I thought he was mostly honored how he was from the games, I do wish there was slightly more of him, because there were some episodes which felt like focused more on Lady than on Dante, and here we're coming one of major gripes. While I thought Dante was awesome, Lady Arkham, she was not quite likable. In fact, she did feel like one of those like girl boss Merceus at some point, with how sometimes she basically tried to show off she was better than Dante and all that. Like there is a scene where she outright locks up Dante and says it's not his fight, even though it's very much his. So yes, the character of Lady is actually one of the more cringy things about the show. And now another thing that I also have to complain about is that the show also, I did like that part, explore the themes and not all demons are bad and not all humans are good, which I actually did like. It's nice to actually blur the lines a little bit and show that while there certainly are plenty of evil demons, with the king of demons, Mundus, being the main villain of the show, but also show that the United States government can actually be kind of just as ruthless as the demons, with how they are willing to just kill the good, innocent demons too. So I like that part, but here's the part which I really wasn't a huge fan of, because it did feel like kind of they were trying to be a modern social commentary on the immigration situation, which was so cringy. Oh my gosh, like, I generally, again, I hate discussing politics of this channel, but when it's so blatant, it's just hard not to talk about it, unfortunately. But it did kind of feel like they were very much trying to socially comment on the modern immigration issues taking place, like, and I just don't know why they have to do this. Like, why can't you just sometimes tell a great story without desperately having to reference some political issues in the modern world? Jeez. But overall, other than those gripes I just mentioned, I very much think that Devil May Cry is off to a good start, and I'm very much looking forward and hoping for Season 2, because it ended on a gigantic cliffhanger and Season 2 is very much needed. So, and what I want from Season 2, and hopefully Season 3 if they do more, I'm hoping for now more Dante and Virgil interactions, now that we know Virgil is very much still alive. So I hope for Dante and Virgil reunion and kind of their cool rivalry and animosity from the video games, because it's one of the best parts about video games. But I'm also hoping that Mundus will also be very much done justice, because Mundus is the most powerful and the best Devil May Cry villain. So that's also what I'm very much hoping for. Less political commentary, but more things that fans actually want. More badass Dante, maybe make Lady more likable, but also more Dante and Virgil chemistry and rivalry, one of the best parts of the video games, and most importantly, Domon this justice. He truly deserves it. But thank you all of you for checking out this review of the Netflix Devil May Cry, and press the like button. Please subscribe to this channel, and I'll talk to you soon in another video. Talk to you then. Bye.